Ek is sommer baie opgewonde oor hierdie kuier saam met jou. Baie dankie dat jy ingeskakel is. My naam Jannie Pelser, Toekomsvenster. Ons vra 'n baie belangrike vraag. What is needed in the lives of God's people as individuals and corporately to face and to be more than victorious amidst the many, many challenges that we face on a daily basis? On our way to 2020 and beyond, life is challenging, especially in South Africa, but God wants to equip us. And we thank you that you are being part of this program, because we use this program, amongst others, to equip people with whatever is needed in order to really live victorious lives and to bring glory to God. So thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. I know that you're going to enjoy the guest, and there's much to be learned. Ons het 'n gas vandag by ons in die ateljee en dit is 'n baie groot voorreg, en ek glo absoluut dat God se tyd die regte tyd is. It's a divine appointment. I believe this is a divine appointment. It is for somebody out there. It is for somebody's out there, and we believe that God is going to do a great and wonderful thing. My guest, Gordon Dewar. Hi, Gordon.
Hi there, Jannie.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You've got a very interesting surname. It is spelled D-E-W-A-R.
That's right.
You said it's Scottish in its origin.
That's right. Yeah, no, there's a bit of Scottish descent.
Yes.
I have visited there, and I didn't inherit the whiskey bond, so I've cut all those ties. Yeah.
Gordon, you're involved with a ministry called Tough Love. For starters, what is Tough Love all about?
Tough Love SA runs support groups for the family and loved ones around a problem person. We specialize in dysfunctional behavior or unacceptable behavior, but sadly people normally only come to us when there's serious addiction involved and problems in the home. Do they then contact us for help and advice?
I think this is very important, because the focus usually is on the person that is affected. Well,
Yes.
and there are more people affected through, for instance, what you so politely call unacceptable behavior. But often those people are overlooked. Because all the concentration and the effort and the energy and also the investment goes into that person and the rehabilitation of that person, and the loved ones in the process sometimes really suffer. So Tough Love really is a support group, you said, for those other people, in the surrounding people surrounding that particular problem.
That's right. Yeah. They say one addict in a home affects up to 12 people.
Yes.
So it'll be mother, father, granny, grandpa, sister, brother, and so the list goes on, people in the workplace. So they have a lot of effect on a lot of people, and it's damaging. And those people are just as hurt and broken. As a parent, if your son or daughter's in addiction, you feel like a failure, you feel like you've done something wrong, and you just need some encouragement and some guidance to lay down good boundaries, to have good structure in place in the home, and that helps to encourage your loved one to make the necessary changes that they need to make in their lives.
But something needs to happen in the hearts of that support group, the people around, because usually they keep that behavior intact by making excuses for it or being secretive about it because it hurts so much, not talking about it. And as you said, because they already feel so inferior, because that's what the devil does, isn't it?
Exactly.
You know, he really makes life very difficult for people. And so there needs to be a bit of a, they also need to reach that point which is called rock bottom,
That's
where
right.
they say, listen, but we need to move out and look for support and be honest about what we are facing.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Jannie. To me, what's kept in dark is ugly, and your mind can be messed with. And we need to bring everything into the light. Yeah. We need to be honest and open and address it as adults, as grown-ups, and to look for structured ways how we can move forward. What does God say about it, you know? How are you living your life? In Tough Love, we know and learned you can't change another person. Yeah. So I often wish my wife would change more here and more there. But when I share in my men's group, they say, but Gordon, you need to change.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. I need
Yeah.
to make change. If their behavior affects me, I need to relook at the way I receive their behavior and what can I do differently
Yeah.
to sow positively back into their lives and not respond in a negative way, which is often so easy to do in the world today.
The problem is always out there, and it's
is.
always with somebody else. It really
is.
takes
Yeah.
some a measure of adulthood
Yes, it does.
before you can get to that point where you can say, "Listen, I need to face myself. And
Yeah.
why do I respond in this way when she says that?"
Exactly.
The problem isn't she. Sometimes the problem. No, but let's
Yeah,
not.
we won't blame, but
Let's
yes.
not go there. Gordon, how did you get involved with tough love?
It's
The
quite
word
a
that I
long
was looking
story.
for was maturity,
Yeah.
a measure of maturity. But in any event, how did you get involved?
Our son landed up a heroin addict, and we didn't know where to turn for help. He had like stolen all my wife's gold and diamond rings and pawned them and things. And at that stage, I was a banker, and I didn't know about all the modern day things that could help. And we turned to polygraphing to get an idea of who it was. And to cut a long story short, it was our son. And we couldn't find help. We looked in the yellow pages back at that time, it was 15 years ago, and we couldn't find any support. And then a friend of ours said, they heard about Tough Love. You know, try them. And we found Tough Love. And I went and got advice and help, and that changed my whole life. So it was quite interesting because the first meeting I went to, being a man, a proud father, you know, I had to tell the story of what our son's been up to. I landed up in tears, which is like not the manly thing to do. And the coordinator said to me, but Gordon, you can't change him. I personally need to change. And that's when the Scots and me came out, and I stood up and said, but I'm not the heroin addict. I'm not the problem. He's the problem. Yeah. And it was quite amazing because in the following 2 weeks is when I actually found Christ in my life. I went to church, and in how can I say it? When I looked at my life,
Yes.
I suddenly realized,
Yes.
but I need to change.
Yeah.
And that's what Tough Love is all about. Me as the parent. Am I being the father I should be in my home? Am I taking that responsibility on? And that's what Tough Love taught me. We went for a whole year. We lived in Vanderbilt Park. The closest group was in Boksburg. I worked in Joburg. I'd drive home, fetch my wife, and we did that for a whole year. And that helped me as the individual and the father to change. And that was part of the process. Obviously, our son needed to learn, and there were consequences that we put in place that he went through. But he learned if that was his choice, those would be the consequences. Yeah. And he didn't like the consequences. And that's where he made his own choice to change his life.
What is the philosophy behind Tough Love in terms of the person who has the behavior that is not acceptable?
Yeah.
Because you can't change that
Yeah.
person, and that person is a person in his own right,
Yes.
and may make certain choices for his or her life.
We believe they need help, so they also need to get into a rehab program. There's a lot of short-term programs out there, so you can pay 100,000 for 4 weeks, or you can pay 60 or 30,000 rand a month. So they need to go through, number one, a detox period to cleanse themselves of whatever substance they've been abusing. But then they need counseling and guidance in their life. And this is where the problem comes in, and this is where I run my ministry now. There's not much between rehab and functioning in society. So I run an NPO called Legaleneti, and we look at reintegrating people. So we run a 3-month recovery program, which is to ensure what they've done at rehab, they've looked at themselves and worked on themselves. Because to me, that's the core of the problem. I find most of the people have come through some form of rejection, and I'll use that in a very broad term, which is often the catalyst to them using, although it could just be experimenting or peer pressure, no matter what it might be. And we work through a counseling process that the heart issues of being unloved, feeling rejected, changes. And once that changes, you then need to equip the person with tools and have a healthy environment for them to live in to start becoming functional in society. And you can teach them and guide them through that process. So that's what I do, because that's what they need. That's the part that lacks. So they say a rehab generally has about a 3 to 5% success rate. So if you think those parents pay all that money, and there's a 95% chance or more that their kid will go back to addiction. And they say so because they go home, same mom, same dad, same family, same friends, and same circumstances. So we need to do more to change that part to enable them. So in that, it also means the parents need to change, which is the tough love part. But we need to change the circumstances, you know. Unemployment, boredom, low self-esteem are two of the biggest drivers for anyone to go and abuse a substance or to seek comfort in something that's not real out there.
What happens when a person that, for instance, you would usually accommodate, but if people are not motivated for help? So I have a son, as an example, and he has a problem with an addiction, something of the sort, but he's not motivated to get help. So how do you get him to accept that help is available? And what do you do if he persists in this wrong way of living?
Well, that's where it becomes difficult, and that's where tough love gets its name, because as a parent, it's difficult to impart those consequences on your loved one, on your son or on your daughter, to change because they don't want to change. So it was like our son. He didn't want to change, but we laid a charge of theft against him. He sat 4 months waiting trial. You know, and you as a parent, you think, no, he's going to go to jail, he's going to get raped, he's going to get HIV. And our thought process was, well, you know, if that's what happens, that's okay. Not that it makes it acceptable, but he needs to get to that place where he knows if that's what he chooses, that's where he'll be.
So sometimes very hard decisions.
It is, you know, because you love them and you want to rescue them, and that's where us as parents make the biggest mistakes, if I can say mistakes. You know, there's no parenting manual. We have one in tough love, just for lack of a better word, what to call it. But it's difficult when you love someone to not enable them, which is normally one of the biggest problems. We make it easy for them to stay dysfunctional.
Yes.
So if your kid can live in your home, start smoking marijuana, doing things that are illegal, you're enabling them to be dysfunctional. So you need to start putting boundaries in place. And we encourage parents to take baby steps. You know, we were a bit radical and we put our son straight into jail, but it's because we left it so long. We knew over years there was a problem. And we let it slide and thought it's a phase and it will change and all these things. You know, you sort of bury your head in the sand a bit and think it goes away, but it doesn't. It grows and grows, and that's why we needed to take such drastic measures.
The prodigal son comes to mind. That father, when that son came and he said, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance," his father knew he was making the wrong choice. And he could probably, because he was the father, already foresee what the outcome of this is going to be in the long run.
Very much so,
But there was a lesson for that son to be learnt. And it was only when he came to a point where he said, "Listen, but I don't want to live like this. I'll go back to my father," that the change came. And so it's the same for people that are being in that position of addiction or a behavior that is not acceptable.
So that's why you need to allow them, which is hard,
to
go and do it, because you can't change them. You know, you can't stop them. You think you can try to control them, but we can't control anyone.
So it's hardship now with the possibility of a good future, or you simply keep that that particular problem intact because you're sorry for your son or your daughter and you wish them the very best and you sit with all these feelings of guilt. It's because I wasn't a good parent, because I didn't give much enough attention, or the example that I set, or whatever, and it may even be true.
Yes.
But still, that person is a grown-up person and
Yes.
needs to make his own choices.
And sadly in life, I think we only learn through consequences.
Yeah.
I know in my life today still, I will really learn when there's a consequence. If there's no consequence, I might be inclined to keep doing that or being led into that sin and keep sinning. But, there's a consequence to doing that. And
Gordon, unfortunately, this is society today, and I'm very, very sure that many people that are listening can associate with you, probably has something similar as
Very
a
much
challenge. So here's a parent as an example, and the parent says, listen, I have a son. Now, I mean, if that son is motivated, then half the victory has already been, and then you need to find a place that is suitable and where those things that you spoke about, namely where a person can slowly again receive whatever the equipment is needed in order to be put back into society and to function. But especially because I think that is what generally happens is, I've got a son, I've got a daughter, and I'm at the end of myself, and he simply doesn't want to know anything. He says he's got no problem.
Yes.
So what do I do as a parent? And what service does Tough Love offer in this regard?
See, the child makes the problem your problem as a parent.
Yes.
And it's not really your problem. So that's where Tough Love helps parents to realize that it's their home. They love their child, but it's a privilege, especially these days where your children of 20 odd are still living at home because they can't afford their own flat and their own car and to work and pay all the expenses. So they land up staying in the home a lot later. But it's difficult when you love them so much to start pushing them out the nest, you see. And Tough Love helps you to put boundaries in place.
Boundaries.
To say that, if you live in my home,
These are the rules.
these are the rules.
Yes.
And if you breach the rules, these are the consequences.
Yeah.
So in Tough Love, I took a long-term stand to say, I will not live in the same house as an individual abusing a substance. And my reason behind that, although it sounds harsh, is I'm not prepared to lock everything away so that you can keep pawning stuff out the garage or selling stuff. It's my home. Yeah. I'm not prepared to live under that ban. I will live with them if they're clean and I can work with the issues, but not while they're in that dysfunctionality and abuse where they're either dealing or stealing or prostituting themselves to sustain their drug addiction.
In closing, it's going well with your son?
He's 15 years clean, so
Yes.
definitely, yeah.
And afterwards, did he come and say, Dad, how could you have done this to me?
No,
Or was he
quite
thankful?
the opposite. It took him about 2 years to forgive me and eventually say the best thing we ever did for him was put him in jail.
Yeah.
And as a parent,
Sure.
you think it's the car you buy or this you do or that you do. But that's where he learnt his lesson and he realized that's where his life changed.
So Tough Love is a national initiative
Yes.
and a ministry. If I'm in Springs or I'm in Pretoria or wherever, how do I access that the possibility of the support and the support
You
groups?
can Google Tough Love.
Okay.
It's all on our website. We got a 0861 number that you can call,
Yes.
which comes through to my home, and my cell phone number's on the answering machine. So you can call. We will point you in the direction of our closest support group. If there isn't a support group in your area, we have a WhatsApp chat group to support parents who are outside the area, plus Facebook pages to give people information and try to assist them where there is no groups. But we're trying to grow. There's such a big need. But the problem, like me, is when parents go to Tough Love, they don't want to hear that they need to change.
Yes.
They just want their child sorted out.
That's right.
Or sent away, healed, restored,
Yeah.
and brought back home again. But
Yeah.
it's a two-way process.
It's a two, and so when people do phone and they come to this
Yes.
helpline, there is already the first assistance needed, because
Yes.
I can think that when people phone, they are desperate and they just need an ear.
That's right.
Somebody that would listen and say, I understand, I've been there.
And that's why I do it, because I couldn't find a place.
Yes.
So I'd like to be that place where people can at least call and get some information.
What is the name of the website or the address?
The website is www.toughlove.org.za, and the helpline number is 0861 868 445.
We also have this at the bottom of the screen so people can just make a note of it, but the easiest is just to go to Google and
Yes.
put Tough Love. Even if you just put Tough Love,
Yes.
South Africa,
It
I'm
will
sure that
come
you'll
up
be
first on the list, yes.
you'll get to the right place and so on. And then in terms of the other part of your ministry of housing people and helping them to adjust and get back into society, is that the same number? Would people be able to
No,
get?
that's totally different.
Yes. Is there
That's-
another website or another address?
There is another website. It's quite a mouthful. It's lachalenetti.co.za.
We'll have it at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, and it will just be my cell phone number, which is 082 074 5835.
Gordon, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today, sharing even your own story, which is not always easy, but we are so thankful for what God has done in your life.
Amen.
And we honor Him for the wonderful way in which He leads people. I mean, when your son got addicted, you never thought that years from there, this would be where you would be, representing an organization, helping other people to cope, to get over the problem, etc., etc. So God can use the bad.
Amen.
I don't think that He initiates it,
No.
but He's greater. There's life on the other side of whatever challenge we face.
I'm a firm believer in that all those problems turns around and brings glory to His name, because it's what He's done and what He's brought us through. And when He's brought you through that, He can then use you to help others. So
Thank you so
Glory
much,
to
Gordon.
God. Thank
Really
you.
do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
thank you, Jannie.
Nou ja, julle, dis 'n baie belangrike gesprek, nê? Maar soos ons nou gesê het, jy as die geaffekteerde, as deel van die kring wat rondom hierdie persoon staan, moet self ook net by 'n punt kom waar jy sê ek het hulp nodig. Ek het hulp nodig voordat die ander persoon regtig gehelp kan word. Net kry die suurstofmasker op jou gesig, net dat jy self kan asemhaal. Nou, ons het ouer gewoonte weer 'n wonderlike boekie wat ons wil uitdeel, beskikbaar stel. Dis 'n boekie van Christelike Uitgewersmaatskappy Koem. Hulle het ons takke reg oor Suid-Afrika, nê. En ons is so dankbaar vir die merkwaardige werk waarmee Koem besig is om goeie kwaliteit literatuur by mense uit te bring. En julle, daar seker nie 'n belangriker ding in die wêreld as om te bid nie, nê? Bid is tog die basis, it's the basis, it's where we start in our relationship with God. It's from prayer always back to prayer. But we need to teach our children to pray. En hierdie handleiding is 'n gebedeboekie vir kinders, vir my kind. Kragtige gebede uit ouers se hart. Just think of Gordon, eh? A parent for their children. And I mean, we could pray for our children when they are still very young. God, will you please protect my child and the influences that will come along the way, so that my child will be able to make the right choices, and give me the grace to lead my child in such a way that he can make those choices. So hier is 'n boekie, Gebede vir my kind, is Eddie Nelson wat dit geskryf het. Ons gee dit baie graag weg, en ons vra dat jy net by die nommer wat onder in die skerm verskyn, jou naam, jou posadres, nê, jou e-posadres, as jy vir ons daarmee toestemming gee om vir jou daaglikse meditasies en inligting te stuur oor produkte wat beskikbaar raak. En jy stuur dit vir ons na die nommer wat op die skerm verskyn. En dan deel ons graag hierdie komplementêre boek met die eerste persoon van wie ons hoor. Baie dankie dat jy ingeskakel het. Onthou, Toekomsvenster gaan na ons webwerf. Daar's 'n hele verskeidenheid van stiltetydmateriaal. En dan het ons natuurlik ook die bederfpakket waarna jy kan gaan kyk. Toekomsvenster wil graag in die lewens van mense verskil maak. Ons doen dit ook deur middel van gemeenskapsprojekte. hier waar ons woon in Kreersdorp, het ons 'n park vir kinders gebou en ons is in die proses om daardie park uit te brei. Jy kan daarbey betrokke wees. Ons het werkverskaffingsprojekte waar ons vaardighede vir mense leer sodat hulle werk kan kry, sodat hulle gesinne kan versorg. En jy kan vir ons ook daarin ondersteun. Aan die einde van die program is ons besonderhede en kan jy dienooreenkomstig vir ons help. Baie dankie weer eens vir jou. Die feit dat jy ingeskakel is. Baie dankie vir Gordon en ek weet dat die Here 'n groot en 'n wonderlike plan het met elke persoon se lewe. Tot 'n volgende keer. Alles wat mooi is.
Almal hou daarvan om bietjie bederf te word. Toekomsvenster het 'n maandelikse Christelike pakket saamgestel waar jy Christelike dagboeke uit ons Toekomsvensterreeks gaan ontvang, geestelike dagboeke van bekende skrywers, CD's, 'n DVD in jou verjaarsdagmaand, 'n daaglikse gedagte vir die dag wat jy vir jou e-pos, en dan ook 'n verskeidenheid produkte van spesiale aanbiedinge wat ons ook wel het. Nou dit kos jou 'n skrale R149 per maand, so 'n SMS bederf na die nommer toe wat onder aan jou skerm beskei en Jolandi sal jou terugskakel.